Hi guys, Klazar alongside Diggity. We're going to be doing a dual commentary for this one. I'm afraid Rise has been lassoed by Mrs. Rise, and he's being forced to do his homework. So he'll be back as soon as the teacher lets him join us. Hopefully he will join us if there's any more games to be commentated tonight. This is Jaedong versus Canata. This is game 4, set 4 of the best of 5 series, and so far we've seen some awesome StarCraft, really top level StarCraft. This is going to be Heartbreak Ridge. And it remains to be seen whose heart will be broken on this map. Will it be the Legend Killer's heart? Will it be the Monster's heart? Or will it be the dreams of SK Terran Canata? And Diggity's alongside me to watch the heartbreak.
You know, this is one of those maps that, again, I feel like it statistically favors Terran, just because the map design. It's another one of those maps where the third base is extremely isolated for a Zerg player, which makes it very difficult. Run-bys actually have really spelled the difference, I think. So we'll see if Jaedong can get a really good run-by against Canata. Canata's, of course, going to have to be very wary. Actually, it looks like Canata's going to go for some... either this is an early scout or he's probably going for cheese. I didn't see him put down a supply depot. So it looks like he's going to build a... Actually, no, it looks like it's just a forward 8 racks, so he can put on a little bit of additional pressure with that initial Marine, maybe get a little bit of additional scouting as well. But anyway, I would usually say, oh, statistical favor, that should help out Canata, but he's playing against Jaedong. He can use... It almost feels like now it's an even match, especially after watching the rest of the matches. Jaedong is just playing scary good. It feels like his Zerglings are stronger. Like I said in that last match, his just decision-making is impeccable. Across the board, brilliant. And I really feel like, especially at the end of the last match with that drop, just the anticipation... able to drop while Canata's troops completely out of position. Beautiful play, winning the game right there. It just feels like he is once again the Legend Killer, and we'll see if Canata can just hold out, and do something to pull this out. I feel like he's the one person in the way of Jaedong's next title, because after this it's Zerg, and we all know that Jaedong is essentially an auto winner versus any Zerg opponent. But Heartbreak Ridge in between here, it looks like, so 12th hatch into pool for Jaedong. On the opposite end, looks like Canata might be going for mech, and he's leaving his front door open at the same time, really just assuming Jaedong was going to go for that 12th hatch build, so playing very risky indeed here. He's in fact scouting that 12th hatchery now. I guess he would have had time to try. I actually don't know that he would have had time to defend against the Zerglings early, and particularly considering how effective run-bys are on this map, that was extremely risky. But Canata, it looks like it is going to pay out for him. He's got a Marine just kind of hanging out here in the middle of the map, maybe to try to catch an Overlord out of position. But right now, things, yeah, just shaping up. A couple Marines to the southern position. Looks like they are in position for an Overlord snipe. Let's see if they're going to be able to sneak one out in the field.
Yeah, Jaedong now sending a drone out, finally, and he's now going to get the info when he sees... I'm not sure if he sees those Marines on top of the ramp with that drone, but he did pull it back. But he might also be misdirected, because Canata has not built his barracks in his main, so Jaedong is not going to know exactly when that barracks went up, how many Marines are coming in, and now Canata pushing in with 3 Marines, as well as an SCV. Jaedong does have a drone there, the hatchery is up, and now Canata putting the bunker down, Jaedong trying to get the sunken down. Jaedong immediately starts a creep colony, now pulls the drones out. We've seen how this went for Jaedong in game 1 when he tried that, and he's forced to cancel the creep colony because of the pressure from the 3 Marines, and Canata holding the Marines back, not revealing them until he had 3 massed up. Jaedong loses a drone, he's pulled all his drones off the line, so he's not really mining right now. He's got Zerglings popping, another drone goes down. The bunker is complete, but Jaedong with a bunch of Zerglings coming in, he's going to be able to take this bunker down, probably loses another drone, and the Marines get killed. So finally Jaedong's able to secure his base. Meanwhile, Canata has got that factory down, almost finished. Jaedong has seen it, however, with that Overlord, but you feel that Canata has that 8 racks. 8 racks is such a strong build against 12 hatch, and Canata obviously anticipating and counting on Jaedong going for that 12 hatchery build on Heartbreak Ridge, and it's paid off for him. His counter has paid off magnificently for him. You feel that now Canata has got a strong lead, now putting that starport down as well. Jaedong, and that Jaedong's going to be forced by trying to put a hard list end down to respond to that starport, otherwise he's going to end up losing Overlords as well, which is not what you want to be doing. I mean, against a Protoss player, Zergs count on losing Overlords. Against a Terran player, they bank on keeping those Overlords alive a little bit longer. Now that Vulture coming in, Jaedong does have that sunken, however, so he should be able to hold it up against this, and he's pulling some Lings back, and he's meanwhile sending some Lings around the top as well to try and explore that part of the map, because I think Jaedong is playing a little bit blind here, because he didn't see it. I'm sure he knows that there was an 8 racks because of the timing of the Marines arriving into his base, but he's just trying to make sure, I guess, that Canata doesn't try and sneak another expansion and get an economic lead while Jaedong is under pressure right now. But Jaedong, I feel, is behind because he had a lot of drones away from mining for a significant period of time, and he lost a good number of drones to that, so I feel that that was a very cost-effective move for Canata, who's now getting ready to take his natural expansion.
Yeah, hiding his troops to the last second. Man, I'm off my game today, not seeing the SCV kind of wandering around there. I thought the SCV was going to stay out in the main for scouting while the Marines kind of played the separation game, but the SCV coming back around, able to plant that bunker. Brilliant maneuver from Canata, really hiding his hand to the last second, and I think it paid off. Yeah, he had to pull off a lot of drones, and that was a lot of drones to really fight that off, and I feel like Canata actually ended up economically ahead as a result. Right now, still working on the 2 hatchery. Let's see if he's going to have... He does have the Hydralisks out, but I still feel like an Overlord or 2 might get taken out. Looks like the eggs coming just in time, and now it looks like Jaedong actually going into a 2 hatchery build. Still has those Zerglings camped to the north. I'm kind of curious what that's about, whether he's just kind of holding them there to try to do some harassment just in time. Look at the timing. Just brilliant timing from Jaedong. Canata going to explore to the north, but he's not going to find anything to really attack. Looks like more Hydralisks being morphed. He might get a drone kill, but honestly, I don't feel like that's worth it for the investment of that single Wraith. It looks like that Wraith going to take some damage, at least get the drone kill, and now pull out. And another whirl of the machine shop, so maybe upgrading some spider mines or something here to try to clear something out. I think that might be a mistake, especially with those Zerglings out the field. Some mine drags can be very devastating. But right now, Canata, yeah, trying to follow that up, try to get a couple Overlords out, but Jaedong right on top of it, so at least he's defending pretty well. I still feel like Canata has the upper hand. He's going to be able to take that expansion and basically be ahead economically, although a little bit kind of off, I would say, where he really wanted to be. He is going to be able to get that Overlord. I think he wanted at least an Overlord kill with that Wraith out in the field, and now the engineering bay going down, so it looks like we might see a switch in tech back to Medic Marine, perhaps. I can't imagine he's going to put down turrets to play a little bit more defensively. He could be nervous about, again, that Lurker attack, but he didn't see the Spire. He saw the Hydralisks pop, and I can't imagine that he's thinking that at this stage, essentially Jaedong's going to switch back to a Spire here, although he does have that Wraith to provide plenty of scouting in that regard, because a Wraith can act basically like a Corsair otherwise. So it looks like it, even though it's, you know, slightly damaged. And they're the mines to kind of prevent those Zerglings from pressing in. And let's see if those Vultures wander out in the field to get some free kills in the meantime.
Yeah, Jaedong trying to sneak a Zergling through to scout is going to get hit by a mine. He's going to try and probably, and I think he saw the siege tank there. It got taken out by the siege tank. So he's seen that first siege tank out now for Canata, and yeah, I think Canata is doing a good move because he's got the economy now. He's got a 2-base economy running. Jaedong is still limited to the 2 hatcheries, and I just feel that this is going to be a really tough game for Jaedong to really progress from here on in, because he's not got a good economy going, and his opponent has got a siege tank out. His opponent's got a strong economy. His opponent's got his natural expo out, and it's going to be incredibly difficult for Jaedong to secure that 3rd gas and secure that 3rd expo, which really a Zerg player needs to transition into the mid to late game, really. Now putting that Spire down, putting an Evo chamber down as well, still working off the 2 bases. Now he's putting his 3rd hatchery down actually in the middle of his base, and that's very late for a 3rd hatchery to go down in a 12 hatchery build, but that's the pressure that Canata put on Jaedong. And really, I feel that in order to beat Jaedong, this is what Canata has to do consistently. He has to kill or cripple Jaedong in the early game. He has to break his arms and legs and not let him get to the weaponry, because if once Jaedong gets to the weaponry of the Defilers and the Lurkers and his Scourge is going, and then once he gets that kind of late game going, it just becomes impossible to fight against him. And the only way you can do it is if you give yourself a huge advantage. And yeah, I think it's safe to argue that luck played a part. Jaedong going for the 12 hatch, Canata going for the 8 racks, but you know, we talk about fortune favoring the brave when Jaedong went for that hatchery at the 4 o'clock expo in the second game. Canata's done something similar here in terms of going for that risky strategy on this map, and Jaedong obviously didn't expect Canata to do that, and it's now paying off for him.
Canata going with something bizarre. It looks like he's producing some Valkyries. He's got a couple siege tanks out, and he's going to be with just kind of a handful of Marines probably, with I assume weapons 1 upgraded. Looks like a hatchery going up in that upper left-hand corner for Jaedong. He's got kind of an interesting composition of his own. He's got the Mutalisks and Hydralisks underneath, which is kind of what you generally want against a big mech army. But those Valkyries, okay, more barracks going down now to produce more medic Marines, but those Valkyries, I feel like they're somewhat vulnerable, but they're not going against Scourge generally, but there's not any Scourge out in the air. And now the Valkyries just pushing out into the action, Jaedong running headlong into it, taking a significant amount of damage there, not as much as I think Canata was hoping. He's able to at least delay that science facility tech for a bit, and he's escaping without taking as much damage as I think Canata wanted to inflict, and that just shows the reaction time for Jaedong. I think most players would have would have kind of gone headlong, been a little bit more aggressive, would have accomplished a lot less. But Jaedong able to go in, strike very quickly, very efficiently, not take a lot of damage, and then pull right back. Those siege tanks, one of them getting picked off, and again, superior mobility. That's the one thing that Mutalisks do not have, one of them getting taken out there. But that's the advantage they definitely have with the Valkyries, and Jaedong exploited that. Now he has the Scourge in the mix, so these Valkyries going to have to be very, very careful to not get completely taken out. And this is why I don't like Valkyries without the Marines underneath to support, because you can just barrel, even if those Mutalisks out front, you can barrel them in. The Scourge can easily take the Valkyries out because they're just not maneuverable. But Canata with a small victory here in the upper left-hand corner, nothing to defend, and that ouch, that looks like he's going to be able to stop. Actually, Jaedong able to make the most of it. He's got some Hydralisks to take that out, and he's not going to lose any drones in the meantime. Now some medics pouring out, but those Valkyries need to be next to. It looks like he's going to try to rely on those turrets. The turret's actually helping out greatly, and this almost reminds me of that game a while ago in GOM, where it was Boxer versus, I think it might have been Piano. And Boxer basically did something similar, but he didn't go as mech heavy in the initial. And right now I think Jaedong is a little bit taken off guard. He's still in a pretty good position. He's still going to get that hive tech out. But those Mutalisks very weak, and he hasn't done a lot with those Mutalisks, and he's ended up losing more than I think he should have. I think he did what he needed to do with that initial grouping, where he just went in, he sniped, he delayed a little bit of the attack, but beyond that, there's no point to committing them, especially against Valkyries out in the field, unless you can snipe them with the Scourge. And not being able to snipe them with the Scourge right now, I feel like he's taken more losses than he's really needed to. Just get that hive tech out and work with what you can, and pick off these kind of vultures that are out in the field. So right now, I feel like Kanata's got an interesting mix. He's got a lot of siege tanks, a lot of Marines, so he might be able to push against this before Jaedong really has the tech out. I feel like Jaedong's being a little too aggressive with the tech. He probably is going to want a lot more units out in the field to try to deal with this kind of pseudo mech ball. But let's see if he can just use those, essentially those Mutalisks and those Scourge to keep this large force back.
Yeah, I think actually Canata read the game perfectly there. He saw that Jaedong was limited to that 2 hatchery build, and that in order to secure that third base, Jaedong was going to need something to try and secure that map. And considering how far Jaedong was behind, I think he kind of anticipated that switch to Mutalisks, because that's what Jaedong's strength is. And if Jaedong had been able to get in with those Mutalisks and do some damage and kind of catch Canata off guard, and now once again Jaedong coming in trying to snipe the Valkyries, Scourges come in, and Jaedong doesn't kill the Valkyries. Great micro by Canata, keeps the Valkyries alive, takes down the Scourges, does massive damage to Jaedong's Mutalisks, and now Jaedong, even though he's got a decent number of lurkers out, Kanata's got a massive sized army compared to Jaedong, and Jaedong is going to really struggle to hold his defense. He's got to defend at multiple points, and Canata can attack really at will wherever he wants to. It looks like Kanata's going to be heading for that front door of Jaedong's, and Jaedong's only got the one sunken down, and his lurkers are kind of a little bit out of position as well. Now going to try to intercept Kanata's forces from getting down that ramp. He's got some of the lurkers in there, but the lurkers aren't really down quickly enough, and he's going to lose at least, okay, looks like he manages to, and he loses 2 lurkers. That's huge, because Jaedong really cannot afford. He's only got 4 lurkers. He's managed to circle one around the back way, but he's killed no forces of Kanata's. Now Jaedong going for a secret expansion at that 5 o'clock base. I don't even know if that expansion is going to come up in time to save Jaedong. Jaedong now trying to once again hold that ramp, coming in with the Scourges, trying to snipe, but this time Canata is able to keep his science vessels back, and he's taken out most of the lurkers. So Jaedong trying twice to engage Canata, unsuccessful, losing another lurker. He's down to 4 lurkers still. That Sunken's going to go down. Jaedong, and looks like Canata might actually be able to finish this game out right here. And meanwhile, Jaedong's losing overlords left, right, and center, which is going to limit his ability to produce reinforcements as well. He does have that Nidus up, but that's useless because there's nothing streaming in there. The Nidus gets taken down instantly. With only the one Sunken, there isn't much left for Jaedong to defend. As soon as that Sunken goes down, I think that's going to be GG right here, Diggy. I think this is going to be GG, and I think Canata read the game perfectly. He anticipated the Mutalisk switch from Jaedong. He had the Valkyries out, and the Valkyries did the job of holding the Mutalisk off long enough for him to get some turrets in place. And from that point on, Jaedong was pretty much toast.
I feel like Jaedong got way too greedy about 2 minutes ago. He went for that additional hatchery in the bottom right-hand corner, really when he needed to either be planting a ton of Sunken colonies in his front door to allow himself to get to hive tech, get the swarm out, or basically get some sort of unit composition out to help deal with this, or he needed some mass to deal against this kind of this mixed combo attack here. So Canata taking that, I feel like that was more Jaedong's loss in decision making than Kanata's win. Canata with the very interesting, I like that creative build, I like the medic marine mix with the siege tanks. You don't see that very often, and you don't see that effectively executed that way very often. Beautiful execution on Kanata's part, but again, I feel like Jaedong could have fought that off, but just, yeah, got kind of greedy and kind of, I don't know what the word for it is, yeah, a little bit too zealous. He thought he could pull it out. He's still going to go to Game 5, but he's still at risk of getting knocked out. Tied 2-2, going to a final match. Who would have thought?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you're being a little bit harsh on Jaedong there. I think Jaedong was probably just behind from the starting builds, and I think he just struggled to recover from there on. And I think he was always kind of feeling the pressure to do something to get back in the game. And I think if he just kind of, I guess, even gone a little bit more standard, I think he would have still gotten rolled there. Anyway, GG. We're gonna go to Game 5 now, and hopefully Rise can free himself of his shackles and return to join us. Alright guys, looks like Rise has been given permission to rejoin us. We thank Mrs. Rise for her kindness and generosity in freeing up the comedy commentator to join us, and we're going to be starting up. This is going to be the final match of the best of 5, and we are returning to our roots. We are returning to Outsider, which is where Game 1 was played. And we've seen 2 victories from Jaedong, we've seen 2 victories from Canata, both with 8 racks. We've seen him go 8 racks on Outsider previously. It'll be interesting to see if he chooses to do the same again, and it'll be interesting to see if Jaedong decides to persist with a 12 hatch, or if he's going to anticipate the rush this time around and do something different. And I'm looking forward to this matchup. Everything on the line. No one would have thought it would have come to this, but Canata has pushed Jaedong to the edge. And let's just hope he doesn't fall off here. I personally am rooting for Canata, as biased as that may sound. Jaedong. I am rooting for Jaedong.
Rooting for the guy who's the overdog. I guess, no, I'm probably not rooting for Canata. I'm not rooting for either. I will be the impartial commentator here. We'll see if Rise decides to go with Canata to make it even here. Looks like starting at the 4 o'clock position, yeah, we have Jaedong in purple. I'm forcing Rise into the probably the less favorable position. 3 o'clock position, we have Canata once again building a forward barracks. See if he's going to try that same trick again. I don't think he's going to go for that 8 racks all in that same match. It's possible, but I think Jaedong's going to be prepared for it this time. And Jaedong actually going spawning pool first this time, just to make sure. I think that was an overpool. I didn't get a good look at whether that what the timing on that larva was.
It was a 9 pool.
But okay, yeah, it was a 9 pool. So there's the supply depot in the background. It is in fact an 8 racks. But yeah, you know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Yeah, it's not going to happen versus Jaedong. Yeah, I'm George Bush, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, obviously he's learned his lesson from this one trick, as you called it before, that has happened to him, what, twice now? I mean, that's just not something that he's going to let happen to him a 3rd time. And, you know, the other thing is he's going to scout it right away. And look at this. We're seeing very fast gas as well coming from Canata. So I'm a little confused as to what he might be going at this point, because it seemed like an early barracks. Maybe it was right on time, but it was before the supply depot. So obviously he is certainly going for a rush of some type. Jaedong kind of messing around with his overlord over there a little bit, trying to get as much info as he can. But like you guys said, he's got the spawning pool down already, and there are a whole bunch of lings to try to put some pressure on Canata this time. And Canata right away has to send his Marines back to his front door, back to the ramp to try to defend, because now Jaedong is in the driver's seat here. And the question is, can Canata play Jaedong's game? Because I have a feeling if Jaedong gets in the driver's seat, Canata is not going to be able to get out from in front of the bus that is Jaedong, and the Jaedong Express is just going to run him over. If anyone knows the Fenghua bus, you know what I mean. If you get in their way, they'll just run you right over. So Jaedong putting a lot of pressure on. He's actually going to almost take a Marine out surrounding the exit path, doing a pretty good job. And at the same time, now Canata, I definitely feel is not playing his game at all. You guys might think differently, but maybe once he gets that factory down, he'll be in some better shape.
Yeah, and the other thing is he's forced Canata to pull some SCVs off the line to defend against those links. So he's doing a good job with these 6 links to put some pressure on. Canata is getting that factory down. He's got about 5 Marines there, so it looks like he's going to now finally be able to push up. But Canata, with some good bike row as well, has managed to keep most of his Marines alive and not let Jaedong snipe anything. And Jaedong looks like he might be limited to a 2 hatchery build again here to start with, because Canata is going for that pressure. He's going to put that factory down, probably put that starport down next, get that Wraith out to harass, exactly as he did in the first game on this map in Outsider about a week ago. But Jaedong is obviously in a much healthier position this time around than he was the last time around. He's getting that layer down, and I'm sure he knows that factory is coming. He looks like he is putting that sunken down, creep calling down to defend against it, and he should be able to once he holds off. And he's oh my god, he's cancelled the creep call. He's cancelled the sunken, and there's definitely that. I don't know. I don't know why Jaedong did that. I'm sure he's aware of the factory. That Vulture is now out for Canata, and yeah, the starport is going down. But Canata looks like he's holding that Vulture in a defensive posture for a little bit, because I think he anticipated the links coming in from Jaedong, and that's just going to give Jaedong a little bit more time. He is putting the Hydralisk stand down as well. His lair is almost finished, so I wonder if we'll see Jaedong repeat what he did in Game 2, which was the drop play with the overlords, but obviously with that starport down and the wraith out, it's going to be difficult for him to do that. Now the vulture coming in against the lings, Jaedong almost killing the vulture initially, but still being pushed back, and Canata is now able to try and snipe some of the lings. Jaedong loses 2 of the lings. He's still got 4 in play, and I think this is going to buy him the time he needs to get those Hydralisks out. But I wonder if it would have been more cost effective for him to initially put the sunken down and keep those lings in the field and save those lings, as opposed to losing them. Now he's going to be able to hold his defense. So the creep colony is down, the Hydralisks are out, and Canata, meanwhile, seems to have saved his vulture as well, and he's now looks like getting ready to expand.
Yeah, I like this build from him. I didn't actually see game 1, but after seeing Heartbreak Ridge, the last match, this is essentially the same build. Jaedong, instead opening up with a 9 pool instead of that 12 hatch, he also spotted those Marines right away with that Overlord, so definitely on the front foot. Let's see how he reacts after this. He's got that second hatchery. He's got the layer tech up, so quick layer 2 hatch build. See how he follows this up. He does have the Hydralisks out in the field. If he does decide to go Lurker, he needs to be kind of careful doing that, because one problem for Zerg players with that Wraith out is if they go too many Lurkers, they just don't have anything to protect that Overlord. Canata having a little bit more success this time, killing that Overlord very quickly, and you might be able to get that second one. Looks like he is going to be able to push up and kill that second Overlord, but Hydralisks right there to kind of push that off. Let's see if the Marines actually come around to try to take those 2 Hydralisks out, leave their front door a little bit vulnerable here, but I really feel like Jaedong, after seeing this build once, after having thought it over, he's really going to be able to have the counter in the mid game. There's the, here comes the Marines, but the Zerglings are going to be in position, especially with that speed to take it out. That Overlord's taken out, but that's going to be at the cost of all those Marines. Ouch! Very nice play from Jaedong, and also morphing 2 Lurkers. He might be able to do press. At the very least, he's going to stop that second command center from going up, but he might even be able to breach his front door.
Come on, Canata, you can do it. Yeah, you're gonna win this. Oh man, how did I get stuck with Canata, man? Jaedong now working on breaking down that front door. Gets the supply depot down. Wall of SCVs trying to defend this. There is a vulture there, able to take out the links quicker than usual. Turret trying to go down. Turret's going to go down before he can get it down. And now Jaedong has penetrated the base of Canata. He's got 2 Lurkers on the way. There is still another turret trying to go down, but he's going to be able to place him directly on there. There's no scan because an academy was never made. And Canata is going to lose this match. He's going to lose the best of 5. Jaedong is going to move on to the finals. Takes out the SCVs, building the turrets. And this is going to be it, folks. He breaks the front door down, and really we just have a complete breach right now, and there is no way as he gets up to the factory line for Canata to potentially get back into this match. You can see it on his face. You see disappointment and embarrassment for the build that he went once again, trying it a 3rd time, and as the Korean commentators say, GG! And Jaedong smiling as he wins this match indubitably.
Lazart loses his eardrums, but I've got to say, that matchup was the reason why I wanted Jaedong to win, because if you look at the series, both of Canata's wins have come from 8 racks. He hasn't beaten Jaedong in a straight-up match thus far, and I really feel that he didn't deserve to go through based on the kind of games he's played, based on the fact that Jaedong clearly has been the superior player. I don't think it would have been fair for Canata to have gone through to the next round, even though it might have been more exciting to watch Zerg versus Terran than Jaedong just pillage the other Zerg players in Zerg versus Zerg. But yeah, Jaedong's brilliance and Kanata's greed cost him there, and that I have to say, Jaedong laid a perfect trap. He knew Canata was going to try and use his Marines to pressure that Overlord. He had his Zerglings speed upgraded, but he had his Zerglings positioned out of range of those Marines. He let those Marines chase the Overlord down, and he started morphing his Lurkers, and then he brought the Zerglings in, killed the Marines, and then when Canata was defenseless, he went for the front door. That was audacious, it was intuitive, it was reactive, it was instinctive, and it was fucking brilliant, and I'm really impressed. I've got to say, fantastic game, and I think, you know, okay, everyone's going to talk about how Canata almost pushed Jaedong to the brink, but he did so, in my opinion, with 2 8-Raxes, and really the best player by far going through to the next round.
I don't know, I feel like that 8-Rax build was a calculated build, and it's a build that Canata's going to continue to use and some other turns might pick up on. We'll probably see more of in the future. That last match, I almost feel like it was one huge critical mistake by Canata, just going too far out, letting his Marines get too spread, and just got a little bit too greedy. The Vulture wasn't there to help support, to try to take out those Zerglings, and Jaedong just able to capitalize, saw the moment, and that's what I love about Jaedong. When he sees the opportunity, he seizes it, and went in, killed the Marines, knew that Canata probably wasn't going to have the support troops to really defend, immediately morphed into Lurkers as soon as he saw he got position on those Marines, and that was game from that point on. Just that slim just that slim an error margin, just getting a little bit too greedy on an Overlord cost Canata this entire set. Absolutely brilliant play from Jaedong, and I do have to say, instinctive, just absolutely instinctive to just process that much information that quickly and trigger on that. It's easy from our perspective without all the immense pressure, without everything else going on, without the fans, without the lights, to say, oh yeah, well he might be able to pressure the front four after this. Without the fog of war, it's easy to say that, but to do that in the midst, that just shows you kind of the true championship status. There, I'm able to spit it out, of Jaedong, just really playing fantastic.
So what do you guys think we're going to see in the next couple of rounds? Is Jaedong just going to take it all at this point, or does anyone have a chance to stand up against this kid? I mean, he's proving to be quite a machine once again, and you know, when you see that determination on his face, when you see his level of gameplay being where it's at, is there anyone who can really take the Dong down?
Take him down, because I'm not convinced that Jaedong's Zerg versus Protoss is so strong that he can comfortably beat Bisu. I think he might be able to beat Bisu, but I would probably put Bisu a slight favorite against Jaedong in a best of. Although I think Bisu will struggle to cope with Outsider if it's used twice. So it all depends on whether Bisu can get past Iris. If Iris beats Bisu, and he does have a one-game advantage, he was 1-0 up after the first week. If Iris beats Bisu, I think Jaedong. I mean, Jaedong is the favorite to take the title, but I think it's down to whether Bisu can get past Iris or not. No one else is going to be able to stop Jaedong now, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. I think effort might be a pretty good option down the line. He's just he's the only person I can see out of all the Zerg players who has a really comparable strong versus Zerg. He was style like Jaedong does. He was actually able to beat him in GOM Season 3. Was able to beat him on Outsider and Heartbreak Ridge just recently. So there you go. I think effort might be able to do it. The other person, maybe Zero. And I'm going to put Zero below effort in the reigns, because I don't think Zero's versus Zerg is anywhere near as strong as effort's is. I feel like Zero's playing better against the other two matches, and also comparably in the OSL, not to spoil that, but well, yes, to spoil that. Jaedong was just recently able to beat Zero in that, so maybe after playing a little bit, Zero will be able to swing back around and pull it out. But effort, I would say, is actually the best option to take Jaedong out at this stage. But even then, he's a Zerg player, and Jaedong is just so beastly versus Zerg.
Yeah, but it's got to be mentioned that Effort has beat Jaedong in the past 3 of their 4 appearances against each other. So, I mean, really, that would support your thesis quite well, and that means that Effort may actually have his chance at a title then.
GG guys, fantastic series of StarCraft. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching this with us. That was some great StarCraft, that's what it's all about.